Yeah, they tell you that you should quit trying. You were too small, that you were too young. They tell you the chance is too slim, the world is too big, but you say how come? I'm ready to light a new fire, raise a new flag, across a new sea. And if I'm ever the one in your way, then put your head down and run right through me. I keep settling for so much less. Don't take what's given, just demand what's next. We're looking for an open door, so we didn't see before. So we can get out of here. Plot twist that we didn't see coming. We're looking for an open door, so we didn't see before. And when we get out of here, we'll never stop running. It's something like a shadow in the valley, colossal. Open up your eyes, young one, and be watchful. Behind closed doors, trying to write a new gospel. They are not God, they're not even apostles. I come with the dumb drum banging you breathless. Enemies freeze, left bent and defenseless. Straight for the chest of anybody against us. The more they resist it, the more that they tempt us. I keep settling for so much less. Don't take what's given, just demand what's next. We're looking for an open door, so we didn't see before. So we can get out of here. Plot twist that we didn't see coming. We're looking for an open door, so we didn't see before. And when we get out of here, we'll take off and never stop running. So I keep settling for so much less. Don't take what's given, just demand what's next. We're looking for an open door, something we didn't see before. So we can get out of here. Plot twist that we didn't see coming. We're looking for an open door, something we didn't see before. And when we get out of here, we'll take off and never
Center today for exceptional lease and finance offers.
Oh my god. Come on. Camera. Really? Dang it. No cam. Really? This is annoying. Let me see if I can fix this. I apologize. I don't know why my camera isn't showing up all of a sudden. Maybe. Ah, there we go. There it is. Wait, I'm here. I'm finally here. God dang it, man. I apologize about that. There's the camera. We're here. All right. What's going on, guys? Big Bulls win. I feel like right now I'm kind of like cursed right now because so far through the games that I'm like, oh, I'm gonna live stream my post game reaction. The Bulls have won, so I'm like, do I need to do this every single every single game from here on out? Do I need to live stream or plan to live stream so the Bulls can win? So I I am very shocked by this win, honestly. I have to say I was pretty deflated after a very bad loss to Cleveland, and I expected the Bulls to lose that one. I'll admit it. Like I thought the Bulls were going to lose to Cleveland because um the the Cavs. I mean, they're coming in and it's a they're coming on with multiple days of rest. The Bulls second day of a back to back or second game of back to back. Like that was just a scheduled L for the Bulls. So that Washington game where the Bulls lost with the on the DeMar DeRozan shot, that hurt, man. I mean, I think the Bulls probably should have pulled that one out. They were down by 17 in that game. I give them credit for fighting, but man, that really sucked to lose that Washington game because you could start the season 2-1. You probably lose to the Cavs, but then you get this big win against the Boston Celtics, and you're looking at 3-1 instead of 2-2. But either way, good job by the Chicago Bulls to rebound from a very bad Cavs loss. I am very proud of this team, man. The start of this game was very rough, but the Bulls did a great job of recovering, and that's all we can really ask for if it starts out rough like this. So just kind of doing my usual post-game reaction / analysis. It's going to just be, I want to do a better job of like kind of, let's stick to the game first, talk about the game, and then and go over some individual performances, and then I want to lead into some analysis after that. I also know a lot of people are watching the Bears game, so I also have that kind of up here, but I'm not going to be looking at that too much. So please update me on the Bears game, and I'm going to be streaming a little bit past the Bears game just so we can get some people in here at like the very last second here. But again, big Bulls win. If you can hear my fan behind me, I apologize. It is 76 degrees in my apartment right now, and I am not having a good time. It is rough in my apartment. So I have to have the fan blowing on me or else I'm going to feel like I'm suffocating in here. So I apologize about that. Also, if my hair is a mess because of that. So let's talk about this game. I see already some people in the chat. Viper Strike, thank you for being here already. And yeah, it's nuts that the Bulls somehow beat the Celtics. They beat the Miami Heat, but then we lose to the Wizards somehow. I just don't know how that's possible. But you think Vooch and Drummond combo is legit? I totally agree. I think the Vooch and Drummond combo is a very good combo. I think people like I was also very skeptical of the Drummond signing when it initially happened, but I think the Drummond signing like after it kind of sunk in, and I'm like, we only pay $3 million for a backup big man in Drummond. It ended up being a really good signing, I think. So I do think it's a very good signing in general. The big thing I'm looking at was the Bulls won the rebounding stats like easily in this game, and I think the big thing that I was seeing is how were the Bulls going to take advantage of their size? I know that the Bulls in general play small, but the Celtics just don't really run a big man besides Al Horford. And Al Horford, I would consider a small big man. So a really good job by the Bulls big man to out rebound the Boston Celtics. That was so important in today's game. Vucevic had 23 rebounds, and 10 of them were offensive. So awesome job by Nikola Vucevic to just be taking advantage of his size all night. I think the Bulls could have probably done a little bit better job of feeding Vucevic the ball when he had a smaller guy on him, or even when he just had Al Horford on him. But I'm going to try to find a play here where you saw the Boston Celtics, they actually started Marcus Smart on Vucevic. Like, the start of the possession would be Marcus Smart is guarding Vucevic. And I feel like if that's the case, if the Celtics are going to do that, you have to just break the play and just say, Vooch, go down to the post, seal off Smart, we'll throw it down to you. Like, I think that's what needs to happen. But instead, we just kept seeing the Bulls like, oh, we got to run the play. I just don't think that that's the ideal thing to do. But I think that's something the Bulls need to start thinking about moving forward. Teresa Barber, Bulls win? Yes, Bulls win. What a huge Bulls win. They beat the Boston Celtics, who were 3-0 to start the season, and I would argue has the best duo in the league as of the start of the year. I'm not saying they're the best duo in the league in general, but they were both playing amazing to start the year, and Brown and Tatum, and the Bulls did a good job of stopping that. So, talk about Vucevic a little bit. I want to talk about that first quarter, man. I really want to talk about the first quarter because I think what was so interesting about the first quarter, and I was really tweeting this out. Like, I thought the Bulls, and we could probably find some clips of it, it seemed like the Bulls just had no idea what was happening on defense. Like, the Bulls so far, as we've seen through preseason and we've seen through the first 3 games, they're switching everything 1 through 4. Okay, but I was saying, like, the Bulls, the team itself, it didn't seem like they understood who was being screened, who was setting the screen. There was no communication. So when Vucevic is involved in the pick and roll, the defender that is getting screened has to get over the screen and stick with the ball handler. But if it's not Vucevic involved in the pick and roll, it's, let's say, Patrick Williams' man, then the Bulls would switch it. But that's on the big man or whoever is the big man in the pick and roll to communicate with that person and be like, hey, switch. Or if it's Vooch involved, say, get over. That wasn't there initially, and it was just leading to simple baskets for the Boston Celtics. And I was like, this isn't good. So I tweeted this out, like, you have to communicate for the Bulls. There is no excuse for not communicating at all. And then I thought, in this little run here by the Bulls, we'll get to this in a second, in the first quarter, the Bulls were down hard to start, right? But then right here, we see DeRozan hits a shot, Vucevic gets the putback, right? So Bulls are starting to kind of figure it out. They're down big, and so right here, I would assume it hits a 3-point shot. The Bulls are down by 16 at this point. DeRozan hits a shot, DeRozan hits another shot. And this is when I was like, this is the turning moment, in my opinion, in the game. Like, the bench 100% deserves a lot of credit because they, Dragic, Derek Jones Jr., Javonte Green, AC, like, they all deserve a ton of credit. But right here is when the Bulls could have 100% folded. They were down 23-7, and I would assume hits a 3 to just keep it close. Like, at least keep it in striking distance. The defense wasn't getting any better, but at least the Bulls were staying with the Celtics in this little spot right here. And then after DeSumo scored another layup, then basically Billy Donovan did the platoon swap. So then the bench unit came in. But I really thought that this was the most crucial part of this game, was when Io scored 5 straight just to keep the Bulls in it and keep them within striking distance, because then the bench came in and just completely changed the game. So that was, I think, the changing point of this game was DeRozan and Io basically kind of saving the Bulls from going down big to start the first quarter. So awesome stuff by the Bulls to just stay in this one. And I'm honestly shocked. I mean, I think we all saw Twitter at the start of this game and we're like, oh man, this doesn't look good. Other thing I want to point out is this. So first quarter for the Boston Celtics, right? They're draining threes everywhere. And the thing is that while it doesn't show it, they were getting drives to the paint easily. It was so simple for them to get easy drives to the paint. You see this from here on out. Like, I thought the Bulls, the big thing was that they were limiting the Boston Celtics drives to the paint, shots in the paint, everything. You see how few shots the Boston Celtics got in the paint in just the second quarter compared to the first? I keep saying it. Yes, the Boston Celtics hit a ton of 3-point shots to start the game in the first quarter. But if your defense can limit their drives, can limit their shot attempts in the paint, it's going to eventually even out. The Celtics then just started jacking up threes, and they were missing so many. That's what we want from this Bulls defense, and they did a great job adjusting, and it just basically kind of stayed consistent. This is a lot of shots in this quarter. But I just thought that was the biggest shift ever in their defense. We'll show a little bit in a second. How did we win? I don't know, man. I'm just shocked at how this team won. I mean, just look at this right here. Like, this is just crazy to see. The Bulls did this against the Celtics last year as well. The Bulls came back in the fourth quarter in Boston, so I guess maybe it's a Bulls Celtics thing. But I'm glad the Bulls are on the winning side of it all. I don't know. So great job by the Bulls tonight. Io is such a diamond. Yeah, Io is a diamond in the rough, man. I really think so. He had a phenomenal game. He's been kind of hit or miss this season to start. Like, great Miami Heat game, or great against Miami Heat, great against the Boston Celtics, but then against the Wizards and the Cavs, he just was kind of like a no-show. But I thought either way, like, no matter what, even that Wizards game, he was playing great defense. He's getting called for fouling 3-point shooters, and I kind of disagree with it. But anyway, that's just, that's that. So yeah, it's basically the bench, man. The bench, I think, really changed the game's outcome. And I think Io and DeRozan kept the Bulls in striking distance in the first quarter. So that was huge to see that for the Bulls. One thing I want to keep note of is this. The Jaylen Brown, like, everybody was hitting shots in the first quarter, right? But look at how bad Jaylen Brown shot in this game. Like, this was awesome. And Jaylen Brown, like, he wasn't just, like, taking shots that were, like, make it, like, that. He wasn't taking shots that he can usually make. He was being forced into some really, really rough shots. Like, I'm talking, like, some turnaround fadeaways. And even on his layups, it seemed like he just was, like, out of sync. So the Bulls, I think one of the huge parts about it is, like, Jason Tatum's the better player. He's going to get his points, as you can see here. Brown started out hot, but, like, they completely flipped the script on his game. So great job by the Bulls, and specifically AC and Javonte Green. They did a really good job of stopping Jaylen Brown from being a threat to the Bulls. I was waiting for your live stream for this game. Appreciate it, man. I really appreciate that. I'm hoping that a lot of people enjoy my live stream post-game reactions and enjoy this type of content, because I know other people do it, but I want to be a part of that community as well. So again, bench for the Bulls. Alex Caruso, I think this is easily the best game for Caruso this season. I apologize if you can hear that loud noise outside. And Goran Dragic plus 21. Again, all the bench people just had a great game. And they really flipped the script on this one. Javonte Green over Jaylen Brown. Maybe defensively. I don't know about it overall. I love Javonte, man. But not that much. All right. I want to get into a couple things here, because one of the big storylines right now is Patrick Williams, and it's game 4 now. Or game 4 just finished. And his rotation stints so far have been start the first quarter, start the third quarter. You play basically 5 minutes or 6 minutes, and you're out for the rest of the game. Like, that's it right now for Patrick Williams. And I'm really, like, I feel like as each day goes on with Patrick Williams, my concern level increases. And tonight, it definitely seemed a little bit better. Like, he seemed a little bit better tonight, but and even though he seemed a little bit better tonight, I'm like, my concern level still went up. It still increased. There's 5 Javantes out there. Yep. and there's only one Jaylen Brown. Yeah, that is facts. That is absolutely facts. But with Patrick Williams, like, how many minutes did he played? 14 minutes. I guarantee you, like, at least 3 or 4 of those was mop-up time when the game was over, right? This is not good. I appreciate that he was 2 for 7. He went to the basket pretty early in this one, and that was really good to see. But I'm like, man, I don't know what to do with you at this point, because we saw him get that back cut by Tatum, which I'm not too worried about that, because that's fixable. But what isn't fixable was when I thought the Bulls got off to such a horrible start, and part of it was that they weren't pushing the ball in transition, and he's just not running up the floor as he should. And that's the part where I'm like, I don't know if I could fix that. Like, or I don't know if anybody can fix that. but that was really concerning. He had a good block on Jaylen Brown as well, but like it seemed like even after he got the block, he just kind of held the ball for a second. Like he didn't want to push the tempo. I was like, bro, I need you to do more. Like I need to see more from you. So yet again, it just seems like this dude is not in the box score. 3 rebounds, 4 points, 2 of 7 from the field, and one block that we talked about. Um, and I'm just sitting here waiting still. And it's concerning. So I don't really know what to do about this. I really think that Billy Donovan needs to consider starting Javante for not just P. Will's sake, but for the Bulls' sake. And I think that's going to help this team tremendously. Because right now, Javante Green and Derrick Jones Jr. have taken over the power forward playing time over Patrick Williams. What's up, Patrick? And not Patrick Williams, Patrick Leone. Yeah, I thought we had an L in the first. Yeah, the start of this game was rough. I definitely thought I thought like even though we got down by 12 early, I'm like this Bulls team is gonna come back. I just didn't expect it to be in one quarter. I didn't expect them to come back in just the second quarter. We need people to start eating and drinking what Green is eating and drinking. I mean, maybe that's the magic. Matt. What is it? Never mind. Maybe that's the solution, honestly, for P. Will is get him on the Javante Green diet. But I don't know, honestly. P. Will had one good attack early, but he's kind of forgettable, unfortunately. We're all waiting for P. Will to put his mark on a game. Yeah, it's honestly just that. It's really hard to see that. We were fortunate tonight that the Celtics cooled off with threes after the first quarter, unlike the Cavs game where Love cooked us in both offense and defense. I can agree with that in a sense. I think the difference, as I said to start this game, the difference is this. Like, look, I know that there's not that many paint looks for the Celtics in the first quarter, but they were just draining threes, right? But a lot of these threes, if you remember, it was off like drive and kick situations. The Bulls' perimeter defense, the point of attack, start of the first line of defense was just letting the Celtics get right into the paint, and they would kick it out for a 3-point shot, right? But you see here, they basically took away all 3-point or all paint looks and all paint drives in the second quarter, right? So I think that when we look at the 3-point defense, like a lot of it has to do with the Bulls' ability to limit paint drives. Because you see here, the Celtics took a bunch of 3-point shots, but they cooled off, right? But my biggest thing is that the Bulls weren't letting them get into the paint. We were forcing them to shoot the outside shot. Because if we were just letting them get into the paint all night, we're not winning this game. They're going to just eat us up, and they're just going to continue to score points. But if we force the Celtics to start shooting more threes and force perimeter shots, this is the result. We're not letting them score in the paint. We're obviously the NBA shoots a lot better in the paint, right? We needed them to shoot perimeter shots, and that's exactly what we did, and it helped us get out in transition as well. Javante Green consumes opponent players' souls. Yeah, yeah, he definitely does that on defense. Man, he had some really good possessions, defensive possessions tonight. So yeah, that's my Patrick Williams rant. Also, I just continue to get more concerned. I'm gonna pull up a tweet here later we'll talk about Patrick Williams a little bit more later. Someone posted something, and I want to hear you guys' thoughts on it, but we'll do that a little bit later. As I do want to kind of start moving into some of the film that I want to bring up, and then I want to talk to you guys and see what you guys have to say. What do you think was the biggest factor of this dub? I think the defense switched. I honestly think that's the biggest thing, and that it was the defense from the bench. The defense from the bench switched this entire game to the point where we forced the Celtics to shoot more perimeter shots, which they started missing, and the Bulls got the ball and ran out in transition. And that's what flipped the game, because then the Bulls started out so bad early and were playing so slow, but getting out in transition, that completely flipped the script of this game. And getting out in transition starts on the defensive end. You have to get the miss. You have to get the stop. That's how you get out in defensive transition. And that's what flipped this game, 100%. So that's my opinion, at least. So one thing I want to show you to maybe kind of put a cap on this Patrick Williams thing for now. That's Io Desuma. We'll get to Io in a second here. I know it's kind of blurry. I apologize, but this is from MK Hoops. This is Mark. He works for CHGO. Loves CHGO. Let's watch this play here. This is a Dragic and Derrick Jones Jr. pick and roll. Okay, should not have used green. I apologize. This is a Dragic and Derrick Jones Jr. pick and roll. So Dragic is gonna come off here. It's just simple pick and roll. But I want you to pay attention to what Derrick Jones Jr. does after he sets the screen. Celtics are switching everything. Okay. Watch what Derrick Jones Jr. does on this play. This doesn't lead to a basket, but this leads to a foul. Like, this is exactly what I want to see Patrick Williams start doing, right? So, there's a switch, right? We got Derek White guarding Derrick Jones Jr. Now, is Derrick Jones Jr. much bigger than Derek White? No, they're almost the same size. But Derrick Jones Jr. still has the athleticism and jumping ability advantage. And the biggest thing, even though that Derrick Jones Jr. doesn't have that much of a size advantage on Derek White, he still does a good job of getting into a good position. This is all that I'm asking for from P. Will, is get into the right position. Move with the purpose, get into position with the purpose, and seal off your man. Like, if the Celtics are going to switch this, Patrick Williams is bigger than Derrick Jones Jr. He should be able to 100% take advantage of the opposing team's guards. Like, simple as that. And if anything, if he can't get the ball, it forces the defense to shift. It's something very simple, right? So there's a switch. Derrick Jones Jr., as you can see here, has sealed off Derek White. Derek White can't do anything right now because of good positioning by Derrick Jones Jr. And this ends up leading to let's see here. Ends up leading to this. I apologize about the noise. And it ends up being a foul. Like, that's what I want to see from P. Will. It's something that simple. Like, we've seen Patrick Williams set on-ball screens. We've seen him do it multiple times, but he just kind of seems like he'll like kind of softly roll to the rim and not really move with a purpose, or he'll kind of fade away and not really do anything, right? I want to see more of that. And the Bulls have Dragic. The Bulls have multiple people that can feed him the ball in a position like this. I just don't see why P. Will can't do this. And it's this type of stuff that it's like, this is the reason why Patrick Williams is not playing right now. Here's another example, right? Watch this. So the Bulls, right here. Look, it's again pick and roll. Derrick Jones Jr. rolls hard. It's something just simple as that. But you see here, he clears out Marcus Smart. He doesn't get the ball, but he's rolling with a purpose, right? It's just go hard to the rim because that attracts Marcus Smart. It's even he doesn't get the ball in this play right off the bat. It's still just so effective. And I think it's just so important to see that. So then here, yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I don't know what it is about Patrick Williams' like inability to just go hard towards the rim and like attract a defender. He doesn't have to get the ball. It moves the defense. And we talk about spacing all the time with this team. Lack of three-point shooting. The way that you can create space if you don't have great shooters is off-ball movement. Shift the defense. Make them occupy your off-ball defender. That creates space. It's so effective. And I don't know if Patrick Williams is just not seeing it right. I really don't. I'm very just confused right now about it. Again, as I always end this segment of talk about P. Will, I'm not giving up on him. I'm not giving up on Patrick Williams. I'm just as the days go on, the more concerned I am about him. And it's just I can't wait for the day where it flips, where I'm like my concern level decreases. That's all I'm hoping for, honestly. Green is a good vet that notices the mismatches with those, something Io and Kobe can improve on. I actually think Io is actually very aware of the mismatch. The problem is that he'll like point out like, hey, I'm going to pass you the ball, then you got to throw it to Vooch. Or I'm going to pass you the ball, and you got to find the man down low. But then he'll throw it to somebody, and they don't do it. Like, he sees it, but if a defense is playing top side, that takes away his passing angle. He'll throw it to someone to make the next pass to get it to the mismatch, but then they don't do it. So I think it's more something like that. The classic P. Will move to slide into a corner and wait for a look. Yep, that's how it goes right now. And that's the reason why he's playing 10 minutes a game, or should be only getting 10 minutes a game if this continues. Now just moving on from one young player to the next. I've been saying that Ayo Dosunmu is the point guard of the future for this team. I am in love with this dude, man. I love his game. And right here, we just saw a simple pick and roll, but this looked like an all-star in the pick and roll, right? Ayo's definitely hasn't been very consistent in the pick and roll so far this year, but this is like his next part of his game. And I was really happy to see this from Ayo. So simple, again, screen and roll, right? And here's Vooch doing the simple screen and roll. And I like that he's rolling hard to the rim. How many times are we going to talk about this, right? Roll hard to the rim after you set the screen. It does wonders for the offense. And you see here, Ayo just takes his time, feels Jason Tatum on his back right here. So he's taking his time. He knows where Jason Tatum is. He keeps him behind him. And he just straight up is like, all right, Al Horford, you're in front of me, right? I've done my job already. And his next part is look at Al Horford. What does Al Horford go towards? Does he go towards Vooch? Or does he commit to Ayo? If he commits to Ayo, he passes it to Vooch. But we saw Al Horford was just kind of stuck in mud. And I was like, all right, I'll take the easy layup. That was awesome to see because those are two good defenders, right? That's Jason Tatum and Al Horford, two very good defenders. Now Horford's definitely getting older, right? But and still two good defenders in that possession, and Ayo still scored over both of them. Let's see. Yeah, okay, you guys can see this good. So I want to show you an example of good defense here that the Bulls did play in the third quarter. So remember, the Celtics kind of went on that run, and I even said, like, hey, the Celtics are going to go on a run, Bulls need to respond, and they did. They did a good job of that. Again, I apologize for that loud noise, if you can hear it. Hopefully my background sound or noise canceller is working right now. So glad I had a nice game on offense after a couple. Yeah, he had some forgettable nights, but I think what we need to also understand with Ayo, like, it's not always going to be his offense that's going to be valuable. It's also going to be his defense. And I thought in that Wizards game, Ayo had two amazing plays that kept the Bulls in a late game situation, and he was playing great defensively. Just obviously he was missing some open threes. And this one, I'm actually going to feature Ayo again on defense here. So I want to break this down why the Bulls defense looked a lot better in quarters 2 through 4. So here, pick and roll. All right, I'll give Patrick Williams credit on this one. You got to fight through the screen, right? They talked about in the pregame for NBC Sports Chicago and Will Purdue and Kendall Gill. They're like, if you're about to get screened, you got to get up into your defender and make sure that you follow him over the screen. So Patrick Williams does a good job here of getting up into Jason Tatum and then getting through. We call it getting skinny past the defender. Okay, getting skinny past the screener. In this case, it's Al Horford, right? So you get skinny, he gets through the screen. And the big thing about this play is you keep Jason Tatum from the ability of going multiple directions, right? The big thing that I don't think people understand, and this is where the Bulls are getting destroyed in the Cavs game here, was let's watch this again. We saw right here, Donovan Mitchell was just destroying Alex Caruso, or even Ayo, even Javonte Green. When the pick was coming up here for the pick and roll, we just saw Donovan Mitchell just go right around, reject the pick, and he was getting right around the initial defender and going right towards the rim, right? That's what was destroying the Bulls' defense initially. Your job as Patrick Williams, knowing that Vucevic is going to be helping up on the screen and roll, you have to force Jason Tatum to his left right here. Force him to go with the pick. You have to. Because if you let him go this way, only DeMar is over here to cover. Therefore, Derek White gets an open three-point shot. That's the problem, right? We do not want Jason Tatum to just go to his right, and there's no help side defense at all over here. Your help is in the center of the floor. Force him to go left. You have to know where your help is. And it's also on Vooch to let him know, hey, help is over here. So, again, we run this play. He forces Jason Tatum to his left. The Bulls started immediately, pretty much out of the gate, blitzing this pick and roll, so blitzing the ball handler, right? Now, right here, as this pick was being set, you see Io, right? This is Jaylen Brown, great player, great shooter. As this pick was being set, look where Io is, right? This is the weak side of the floor. Io's already inching over to cover up the paint, just in case if Al Horford is all of a sudden open from this little pick and fade action. Io's in the paint to stop him. That's good. That's exactly what we want. So instead of this being thrown to Al Horford, though, Tatum just throws it right over to Marcus Smart. And this is, again, you take this shot if you're the Chicago Bulls defense. Marcus Smart can 100% hit this shot, but that's a deep three. It's contested. Jason Tatum didn't get an easy drive to the lane. That's exactly what you want in a defensive possession from the Bulls. So good stuff there. I was really happy to see that. Let's see here. Let's watch Javonte Green in this play. Okay, it's not just the on-ball screens that is so important. It's also the off-ball screens, right? It's important to get through these screens. Okay, Javonte here. He's on Jaylen Brown. Talk about disrupting someone's rhythm. Okay, he's through the screen, right? He's here already. As Jaylen Brown has caught this ball, if Javonte's like here, Jaylen Brown, it's simple. He can pull up for three, right? He can drive to the rim. He can do whatever. But right as Jaylen Brown is catching that ball, Javonte's in his face. That's step one. Like, that is so important, okay? Now, here's the pick. This is actually a really good pick by Noah Vonleh. Shout out to Noah Vonleh, former Bull. It's been on 8 teams. But Javonte, it's like, all right, big thing. I need to get through this screen, and I need to stick with Jaylen Brown. I got to stay on his hip. I might get screened really hard here, but I got to stick with him. I can't let Jaylen Brown come off this way, and then be like, oh, I can just go right now. No, you need to force him to continue to go left if that's where the pick was being set from. So he gets through the screen here, and look where Javonte is. Javonte is stuck on him like glue. That's what we need. You're not allowing Jaylen Brown to go right now. This is exactly what we want. If you're the Bulls, and he forces then a pass back out to the perimeter. Look, the Bulls didn't let Jaylen Brown get into the paint on that pick and roll. That's what they were allowing early in the game. But by stopping him, by making sure Jaylen Brown can only go left, that allows Drummond to help out, right? Let me actually just roll back the play a little bit here. That allows Drummond to come over and help out, right? Where we just saw there, and not have to worry about his man. They forced it back out to the perimeter, and this right here, even on this play, I know that Malcolm Brogdon got into the paint here, but you see how hard it was. Like, it wasn't just like an easy shot, and then he has to somehow kind of do like a little prayer shot up in the paint here. Obviously, that's not ideal. As I keep saying, try to keep him out of the paint. Keep him out of the paint. You're doing your job. But that was still a tough drive from Malcolm Brogdon. He can only go left. So overall, it's okay. Good defense by Javonte. Could do a little bit better for Caruso and Drummond, but I can't blame you too hard because they did a good job for the rest of the game. Just to show you just a couple of defensive things that I thought were very important for this Bulls team, because in just those two possessions, right? Those didn't happen to start the game, right? That was, in my opinion, what flipped the script. Io's aggressiveness is what we want P. Will to do. Yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation before on my channel, and I've been talking about this a lot on Twitter. Mentality is big. Like, it's a huge thing. Kobe White did not play a lot in this game, and deservingly so. And I think even though with one of the things about Kobe White, like, even if he's getting benched for like a game like this where he just doesn't play that many minutes, you know with Kobe that he's going to come out firing the next game. Like, he may not be making his shots next game, but he's still going to be aggressive. That's what we want, right? Patrick Williams, like, I don't, like, if he was basically set to play 10 minutes this game. Let's say the Bulls don't have mop-up time and he doesn't get that garbage time, those extra 4 minutes. Like, if I'm Patrick Williams, like, that shit, don't get down on yourself, but use that to be aggressive the next game. And I just know that he's not going to be aggressive the next game. I want him to prove me wrong, but in my head, I'm like, no, he's not going to be aggressive. So, mentality is huge. We talked about this also in the last live stream. Io, the way he talks, he's so confident in himself. Just in any sort of interview you do with him, he's so confident in himself. You don't hear that with P. Will. It's just nuts. I just don't understand. What's frustrating about Pat is a lot of us love Io, and and he isn't consistent, but he is young, so it's fine. Pat is consistent, just not in a good way. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. Like, one of the things that I even tweeted this, I think. Let's see. Yeah, so Patrick, like, early in the game, he had one drive and he missed the layup, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, at least he drove. Like, the fact that I'm already at that point is a bad thing. But in my opinion, I want to see P. Will make mistakes if he's trying to do the right play, right? If he's actively trying to make a play happen and he ends up making a mistake, I can live with it. Like, he's 21. You can live with that sort of thing. It's just that right now, he isn't doing anything so much to the fact that he can't even make a mistake, right? There is nothing that he can, like, he physically can't make a mistake because he isn't doing anything. Except he can make a mistake on the defensive end by, letting Jason Tatum backcut him. But on the offensive end, like, I don't see him turn the ball over because the dude doesn't look to even drive it, right? So it's just something that, again, I don't really know at this point. It's just so odd with him, and I hope this changes, man. I hope this changes. All right, because we're back on P. Will, and because this is just, I feel like it'd be a topic here. Someone tweeted something that I thought was really interesting. Chris Amundsen, follow him. There's his tag here. So he tweeted this out by Patrick Williams, and he's basically saying, like, look, the Bulls had Wendell Carter Jr. and Lauri Markkanen, right? And now Lauri, because he's had an amazing first 3 games, we're all of a sudden talking about this. I personally don't think Lauri's going to continue this hot streak. He's not shooting well from 3-point range. He's only shooting 30%, which makes it actually a lot, like, it's more impressive, right? But I don't see Lauri continuing this. I could be wrong, and I want him to prove me wrong. I want to see Lauri succeed here. But I don't think Lauri is going to be averaging 24 points per game for the rest of the season. I was big on Wendell Carter Jr. I personally was a big fan of him. I'm kind of like a Duke fan, but like I'm not really watching much Duke. I'm not watching college basketball anymore until March Madness. But when Marvin Bagley and Cam Reddish and Marvin Bagley and Wendell Carter Jr. were at Duke together, like, I thought that was a great team, and I loved watching Wendell when he was on Duke, and I was really happy when the Bulls got him, and now, he's moved on to the Magic. And me, as a Wendell Carter Jr. fan, I could tell you, like, hey, the Wendell Carter Jr. was never going to succeed on this Bulls team, and I guarantee you, when we see this Magic team, when, like, we see Banchero and, Suggs, if he ever gets healthy, or Franz Wagner, like, once we see them start to kind of blossom their offensive game, we're not going to see Wendell Carter Jr. averaging 18 points per game. We're going to see him, like, his points per game is going to drop down to probably about 15. So, my point is that his production is going to look a lot lower, but I still think he's going to have a big effect on this game. Like, a lot of people are just kind of stuck on the numbers of, like, oh, he averaged 18 and basically what Vooch averaged this past season. I'm not really too worried about that, but I can't even say that Wendell was never going to develop on this Bulls team. Now, Chris here is saying, is it time to start looking at this Bulls development team? Because Wendell here didn't develop, Lauri didn't develop, right? So the trend here, if Patrick Williams can't develop, is the Bulls training staff and development team. It's on them. That's the only common denominator. But my issue with that is you're looking at 2 different regimes, right? Wendell Carter Jr. and Lauri Markkanen were under the Garpax era. They were drafted under the Garpax era. Then, yes, in half the season, they were under the AKA and Mark Eversley era. So I think this is like a kind of a bad thing to do because it's 2 different eras we're talking. We're talking 2 different regimes. And the other part of this is, like, did the Bulls give up on them too early? And I don't think, and someone even kind of talked about this. I think it was MK Hoops actually in the reply in the quote tweets. But I actually can't find it. Anyway, he was basically kind of saying, like, look, right here it is. It's like Lauri and Wendell. Like, I can see Wendell Carter Jr. becoming an all-star, but like an Al Horford type all-star, where he's not a franchise cornerstone. He's like a really solid starter that supports the franchise cornerstones really well. Lowry, I mean, we haven't seen him become close to all-star potential or all-star level until this year, right? But if you're the Bulls and you're rebuilding, which, when AK and Mark Eversley took over, they're in straight up rebuild. You don't have time to wait for these two guys. Like, you can't wait 4 to 5 years to get these guys to max out their potential, because their potential is not superstar level potential, right? Like, if, let's say, we drafted Luka Doncic, yeah, you wait. If Luka can't, isn't going to be able to figure it out in a couple of seasons, you wait 4 to 5 years knowing that he could be a superstar. With Lowry and Wendell, you don't wait around because they're not going to be franchise cornerstones. Which leads me to this. I think, again, it's not a good thing to kind of, use players that were under two different regimes. I think that's kind of a bad way to look at the player development staff. As much as Patrick Williams has struggled, I think it's important that we keep him around, because this dude, I feel like, does have all-star two-way potential. So he's 21. We have to remember that. It's important for us to try to keep him around. I know it's hard to develop and win now, but heck, man, the Spurs did it. The Warriors did it. Like, we've seen teams do this before. So I think it's not time to give up on P. Will yet. I want to give him at least probably a year past his rookie contract. So I'll give him 5 years, basically. But if, we're talking after he signs his rookie extension that he's still not playing well, then I think it's definitely time to really have this conversation. But we can still have the conversation, though, about his mentality, his lack of aggressiveness, his lack of impact on the game right now. But I think in terms of, like, completely just getting rid of him, it's not that time to start talking about that yet. We can talk about if he's the guy or not. Like, I can understand that, but I think we give him a little bit more time, because I see the potential in him. Like, I think we all see the potential in him, and that sort of potential is worth waiting on. Lowry and Wendell, their potential, as good of a player they can become, I'm not waiting on 4 to 5 years for them to develop, right? But with P. Will, because of how much potential he has, I'm actually willing to wait on a little bit on this. I think some orgs are obviously good at developing players at the Dubs, but like you said, our developed team is basically new. Yeah, it is basically new. What will be interesting to see is, like, is it a Billy Donovan thing? My thing with Billy Donovan, if I say if it's a Billy Donovan thing, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, his first year under Billy Donovan, had a phenomenal year, right? I mean, when the OKC Thunder traded Paul George to the Clippers and they got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I mean, SGA, like, that was kind of like his first year where he kind of had like a bigger role in a sense, and he was phenomenal playing next to Billy Donovan. Now, here's the other part. He was also playing next to Chris Paul. Maybe Chris Paul was the reason why SGA had such a good, leap. But, I just can't be like it's Billy Donovan's fault that Patrick Williams is struggling right now. I think it's a combination of Billy, the Bulls training staff, and also P. Will himself. Now, here's the thing. I think this Dalen Terry pick is going to be a big test, like maybe like the litmus test for this regime of how well they develop players, because I think Terry has the right mentality. I think he has the potential. And I don't think Terry's going to be like all-star, but he has some serious two-way potential in this league at being a great two-way player. Again, not all-star, but like, 3-and-D type guys with versatility. So I think that's really where I'm like looking at. But at the end of the day, I also quote tweeted this, and I was saying, look, man, I was on the Wendell Carter Jr. train. My issue right now is that P. Will doesn't even look like a role player right now. And I feel like that's an okay expectation to have at this point, is having him be a role player. Again, not giving up on him. Talked about living with mistakes. But, we already went through that. I then added this. I think part of his lack of development is on the Bulls. The Bulls are trying to win now, right? So it's harder to develop him. But if we're going to be starting to question this Bulls training staff, I think it's also the right to start questioning the player. I know it's like he's 21, but I do think it's okay to start questioning, like, is he actually putting in the time and effort to get himself better? And Chris, I appreciate his respectfulness. Like, he's like, yeah, that's a fair question for both. It is definitely true though that most fans right now are overwhelmingly blaming Patrick Williams for his lack of development and nothing else. So I just think it should be like a collective blame right now at this point. Your thoughts, though, go ahead and put it in the chat of who you think is more responsible for Patrick Williams' lack of development right now. There's also a chance that the problem is the fans who try and cut and run as soon as muddy waters happen. Yeah, I mean, they did that with Wendell, I feel like. I could not believe how many Bulls fans were out on Wendell Carter Jr. In year 3 of his career. Even year 2, I felt like people were starting to turn on him, and I'm like, I see so much potential in Wendell, and when you don't have good defenders around him, like, you're acting as if he's like the Rudy Gobert of the defense, and he's just not, right? He's not Rudy Gobert. He's not an emergency backup shot blocking big man, but he's a versatile defensive big man. And the way to use that versatility is if you have versatile defenders around him. But the Bulls didn't have that, so his weaknesses are exposed instead of his strengths. And Bulls fans are like, this dude's supposed to be a defensive anchor, and he's horrible. And I'm like, we're really doing this already to him? But that's just my opinion. But again, like I said, I don't think he's going to develop here. And if the Bulls are going to be just rebuilding, there's no reason to wait for him. There's just no reason to. You can't wait around for him to get better because his potential isn't that high. It's not all-star level, or it's not superstar level potential. So, yeah, it's, part of it could be fans, definitely. Fans are definitely ruthless, I'll say that. So, yeah. So, yeah, go ahead and put in the chat what you guys' thoughts on P. Will's development. Is it him? Is it the coaching staff? Is it the training staff? And, I just want to see what your guys' thoughts are so far with Patrick Williams. But either way, if Patrick Williams is struggling or he's not, it's important for this Bulls team to play together as a team to get wins like this, right? I mean, we're looking at 5 guys in double figures, right? Even Dragic, he only scored 7 points. He still had an really effective game. This was a collective team effort. And for this Bulls team to continue to get these sort of wins, you can't rely on DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic to carry you. You have to, obviously, as we saw at the bench tonight, some nights the bench is going to have to win you the game, and that's what the Bulls bench did tonight. So, good job with this by this team collectively playing well together, et cetera, et cetera. And hey, man, if I would assume who can be consistent 15-point per game scorer this year, I mean, we're looking at a very good starting unit. I think we just need to put Javonte or Derrick Jones Jr. in the starting unit, and it looks a lot better to start the game, and we're not going down by 19 to start the game with the starting unit, and we're not having to run a comeback and playing uphill the entire game. So yeah. All right. Other thoughts that you guys had from this game? Go ahead and put it in the chat. I'll kind of go off you guys right now. People still has time to figure it out, but the clock is ticking for him to at least show that he could be a good role player. Yeah, I do think that's true. Like, when we say the clock is ticking, like, we're not saying the clock is ticking for him to be an all-star, right? But the clock is definitely ticking where he doesn't even look like a rotational player right now. And I mean, we've seen the NBA. If you ever are out of the rotation, your job security is very, very, very low, right? You could be completely out of the rotation for the rest of the season. So yeah, the clock is ticking right now on if he can be a rotational player. I'll be interested to see if he continues to start. I think he's going to probably continue to start, but yeah, I'll be very interested in that. Do you think Zach did well enough today? I thought Zach's first half was fantastic. I mean, he was part of the charge that got the team back in the game. The second unit plus Zach LaVine, that unit was just straight up using their speed, athleticism, their length, like everything to get the team back in the game. So his first half was, I thought, phenomenal. His second half was definitely not that great. I thought his fourth quarter was not good. And I think part of it was also that we kind of saw the Celtics defense kind of like, we're going to give one last gasp, but his fourth quarter wasn't good. Let me know your thoughts on that. I put this in my typical, I always, at the end of each game, I always do like a typical, like, you know, a little summary thing. But I said here, like, I don't think Zach looked as explosive today. I thought it just, like, in the first half he looked pretty good. Second half it just seemed like he didn't have that quick first step that we were used to seeing. Not saying he's injured. I just think that we have to really monitor Zach throughout the rest of this season. He only had 1 day off in between games, right? So it's important to, you know, monitor him to make sure that he's still, you know, has that explosiveness. So I expect him to play against the Pacers. I have no doubt about that. I'm just saying that, you know, he needs to really take care of his body. The training staff really needs to take care of him to make sure that he has that explosiveness on a you know, game-to-game basis whenever he does play. So I definitely think extra days off is going to help Zach tremendously. Like, I mean a ton. So I'm a fan of him not playing in the back-to-backs or both games of a back-to-backs right now, because I think that could potentially hurt his athleticism or explosiveness for the rest of the year. So, you know, limiting those back-to-backs is definitely going to help him. Honestly, Patrick Williams would be more comfortable and be more productive if he was coming off the bench. Yeah, I think so too. I think he'll definitely be more comfortable, and maybe he can have more of an impact on the game. And that's just, again, what I just want to see off the bench. My noise cancel thing is off because I ran out of time. I'm gonna move my fan in here for just a second. I'll be right back. Hold on. Let me put on some music for you guys as I go and turn my fan away so you guys aren't hearing that in the mic.
Yeah, they tell you that you should quit trying. You were too small, that you were too young. They tell you the chance is too slim, the world is too big, but you say how come? I'm ready to light a new fire, raise a new flag across a new sea. And if I'm ever the one in your way, then put your head.
All right, I'm back here. All right, I saw some other chat here. Are you a Bears fan as well? I know you mentioned the White Sox. I am a Bears fan, yes. I don't follow the NFL as extensively as I do with the NBA, but I am a Bears fan. I do follow them, but yeah. I don't know football as like how with the X's and O's of basketball, right? So football, I enjoy watching it. I enjoy seeing the Bears win, but I know they're struggling right now. I'm also, if I can pull it up here, I'm a part of a show for Radio DePaul that every Monday and Friday we have a show called the Chicago Show, and we basically kind of go over the teams, the professional sports teams for Chicago, and we're obviously it's football season, so we're talking a lot about the Bears, talking a lot about the Bulls. I'm not on every single show. I was on today's show, so I had a lot to say today about the Bulls and the Bears, but I will be on next Monday's show as well. I will not be on Friday's show, but if you want to listen to me there, go check this out. Radio DePaul Sports is it's a radio that is actually through the internet, so you don't need to tune into a radio station to listen to us. You can go to just online and listen to us via their website. So it's really, really cool. Yeah, catch me on Radio DePaul Sports. I'm going to be hopefully doing a lot more as basketball season really starts to pick up in the winter. But for now, I'm just some shows I'll be on for the Chicago show. I I just saw another comment. What have you discussed? What you've thought of Billy's lineup so far? So yeah, actually, really good question here. So with Billy, I'm definitely with Billy. I'm actually gonna bring this. I'm gonna bring up a play here, if I can bring it up. With Billy, his lineups against the Cavs, where it was not good. His lineups against the Cavs was awful. I thought that loss. I mean, I had a schedule. I had that Cavs game as a scheduled Bulls loss because third game in 4 nights, second game of back to back, you're gonna lose that one. Cavs multiple days of rest. That lineup where he took out the big three and put in just all bench units, and it was basically just bench unit from end of first quarter into the second quarter, and the Cavs basically went on to have a huge run. And we didn't see DeRozan check in until around the 8-minute mark of the second quarter. That was awful. That was a horrible job by Billy Donovan, and he needs to do a better job of feeling out the game. I like to call it, because he needs to understand, and when the game is starting to get out of hand and when a unit's not playing well, you have to change it up. And I don't understand why he just stuck with his rotation with that. Yeah, I don't know a ton about basketball, but some of the lineups in the Cavs game, I was big confused. Yeah, I was confused as well. Now, this is something that I've actually been kind of on Donovan for his tenure here. Some of these lineups that Donovan likes to run out, I don't understand. Tonight, I think was overall pretty okay. Obviously, the bench unit got hot, and he just kind of rolled with it. I like that he's not putting in Patrick Williams if he doesn't play well. So I give him credit for that. But there was, that Cleveland game just didn't make sense. Last year, my biggest issue with Billy Donovan was that he was running DeMar DeRozan with the second unit solely, and I thought him and Zach could kind of flip flop that role. And you just saw that second unit was just so heavily dependent on DeMar last year. That didn't make any sense to me. This year, I like that the second unit is with Zach. I think that's the right call, but it took till game 4 for Donovan to realize it. I think he probably wanted to actually do that in the Cavs game, but he just couldn't get to it. So I'm not going to be too harsh, but yet again, Donovan called it early timeout in the second quarter of that Cavs game. He didn't change anything. He needs to do better with that. Now, when it comes to Billy Donovan, I don't think he's a top 5 coach. You can argue top 10. I honestly don't know where I put him in my coaching ranks, but he, as a coach, understands his players' strengths very well. He also understands his he understands the importance of team chemistry and having the guys be around each other, etc. So I like that from Billy. The other part I like about Billy is that if whatever he's asked a question in the post-game press conference, it's like, hey, why did this player play well or whatever, then he'll always kind of take the blame. He's a player's coach. He'll always be like, that's my fault. I need to do better. It's not necessarily on the player. He won't single out a player to the media. He'll probably single out a player, in practice, but he won't do it to the media, which is good. Because that's not good to do that to the media. You got to do that behind in the locker room. Other thing I'll give credit for Billy Donovan is the DeMar DeRozan potential game winner. This was, in my opinion, a phenomenal play drawn up by Billy Donovan. Okay, let me explain to you why I thought this was such a great play by Billy. So throw in the Vucevic. Okay, here's Ayo Dosunmu. This is Ayo, right? Ayo was up here. He started here. DeRozan's going to come up here and set a rip screen for Ayo Dosunmu. So Ayo's going to run over to the corner, and he's going to take somebody with him, whether that's his man, Denny Avdija, or Bradley Beal. He's going to take someone with him, okay? So in this case, you're going to see the Wizards going to switch. So Bradley Beal's going to go over with Ayo Dosunmu over to the corner. So DeMar then is going to get Denny Avdija on him. And DeMar is going to come up here and take a handoff off Nikola Vucevic, okay? So let's just run this play here. So there's the little, flare screen, pin, or rip screen, whatever you want to call it. Ayo's going to take Bradley Beal over here. Then Denny Avdia is going to switch on to DeMar DeRozan. And now DeRozan is going to come up here to get the ball from Nikola Vucevic. Okay? And this is the part where it's also important. Obviously, Avdia was guarding DeRozan. Well, now you got Anthony Gill meeting DeRozan over here. So not only did Billy Donovan run up a play that made sure that the Wizards could not double team DeMar DeRozan, he also got the switch. He got Anthony Gill on DeMar DeRozan, which is exactly what you want in this sort of situation. So here's the switch. If you're the Wizards right now, you can't double this, right? Because if you look to double this, Bradley Beal, remember, had to run with Ayo Dosunmu. So he's running this way and looking at Ayo. He's not in position to come over and help because the person that will come over and double is Denny Avdia. But if Avdia comes over to help, then Vucevic is wide open. Bradley Beal would have to sprint all the way over to Vucevic. So you can't, right now, in this situation for the Wizards, you cannot double this. So, isolated situation. You go for the win on the road. It's an unwritten rule. And it just happened to go in and out. I thought this was a phenomenal play drawn up by Billy Donovan. I really do. I think Billy Donovan, so far, with his out-of-timeout plays, or even, those plays at the end of the game, he does a really good job of drawing up these plays. It's just his feel for the game, his lack of in-game adjustments is what kind of concerns me. That's my only concern that I have. Now, here's the thing. Can we really complain? I mean, we had Jim Boylan, right? Jim Boylan was so bad as coach that he had no clue what to do with his players and no clue how to run an offense. And yeah, it's so interesting how, we had a horrible, pretty much, Hoiberg was also not a good coach either. So yeah, that's that. Wizards are on the road and decided to take the Cavs in their home to OT. That's interesting. Did they win that? I think the Cavs won that, though, if I'm not mistaken. I think you also kind of take what they give you. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. DeMar could have 100% gotten a mid-range shot out of this, easily, right? I'm just I'm happy that he took the three because, again, you go for the win on the road. But number two is what I don't want to hear from fans, and I saw so many of this. They're at this moment, yeah, you got the switch. They're like, hey, go for the layup, go for the drive, go draw a foul. I'm like, DeMar DeRozan has even said this. You do not ever put the game in the hands of the officials at the end of the game. You never do that. Never put it in the hands of the officials. Never depend on them to call the foul. You will never ever get it. You're never gonna get it. So I would much rather miss on a jump shot or lose a game because of a missed jump shot than lose a game because the officials decide not to blow their whistle, because they're not going to blow it at the end of the game. They're just not. And if they're going to be like, well, draw a foul, DeMar, it's a 2-point game. Well, guess what? He technically drew a foul. It was in the last 2-minute report. Should have been a foul. Nothing was called. Should have had 3 free throws. I'm not mad because, again, the officials don't call the fouls at the end of the game. But if you're, basically my point is, it's hey, he got what you wanted. For all the people that are saying, hey, go draw a foul at the rim. Hey, they got the foul. It just didn't work, right? So, again, I would much rather lose on a missed jump shot than the officials missing a foul call. Cavs won anyways. Wizards are dirty. See, that's my point. It's you do not go you just don't go for the OT when you're on the road, because the only time I can see you going for OT on the road is if the star player for the opposing team is fouled out or isn't in the game anymore. That's the only time I see you ever doing it, and even then I think you don't do it, because OT on the road is tough, man. The crowd gets all into it, and because it's only 5 minutes, if you go down a bucket, it feels like you're playing uphill the entire 5 minutes. And if you're on the road, that sucks, man. So that's the reason why you never go for OT on the road. You go for the win, if you can, at least. Bulls were shooting not so good in the game and relied heavily on the free throws, so maybe going for the win was the better choice. Yeah, I totally agree. I think you go for the win. You could, talk about all these other, variables, but I just think in general, it's like you just go for the win on the road. You live with the result. Like if let's say DeMar DeRozan couldn't get a shot off, you have an argument where it's like, why wasn't the play drawn up better? You could have gotten a better shot, whatever. But this is an open look, man. Like I have no issue with this look. You live and die by this look by DeMar DeRozan. That's plenty of space. He's made the shot many times before. You just live with it. That's how it goes. Also, for the people that want to say that Zach LaVine's jealous of DeMar when he gets those sort of shots, man, I hate when I see that type of stuff. Like, look at Zach, and like he's waiting for another game winner to happen. He was so hyped for it. Like, anyway, it's just, I hate when people make that false storyline up. So yeah, that's my Billy Donovan rant for today. Thank you. Who was that? Adam, for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Because that is definitely something that I think Bulls fans should be looking at with Billy Donovan. Yeah, thank you, Adam. I really do appreciate you bringing that topic up. All right, other topics you want me to talk about or want to talk about in the chat. I'm going to let you guys kind of control the stream for a little bit here. Also, I need to check the Bears game. I want to see the score of it. Wow, the Bears actually blew out the Patriots. I'm very impressed. Yeah, I guess the extra time off for the Bears actually helped them out. So really, really cool stuff. Predictions for Pacers versus Bulls. Bulls should win it. Big person I'm afraid of is Tyrese Halliburton. I think Tyrese is very, very good. And the Bulls need to contain him. But if they contain him, he'll be good. I think the Bulls win it convincingly. Have you discussed this defensive rotations? A little bit, Adam, yeah, but I could go over it again. We went over it a little bit, just a tad. But we can get into it a little bit more. And in this game, though, I think it was more about the perimeter, like the first line of defense was most important, and not necessarily the rotations. I thought the rotations were okay; they weren't amazing, but it was the first line of defense was so bad that it's like that was the issue. Like that needed to be addressed because if that wasn't going to be addressed, the Bulls get blown out in this game. Do you think the Celtics are going to be contenders this year? Yes, I do. I do think that. Now, what's going to be interesting to see is this. I think the Celtics, they have a lot of pieces. I think they need to go get a big man. Now, Robert Williams obviously didn't play in this game, but we didn't have Lonzo. Okay, but Robert Williams, as much as I love him, he's a phenomenal off-ball player on offense. Like he's one of the best. I'll look this up here. Like Robert Williams, like he doesn't get enough credit for what he does off ball. Like he does a phenomenal job of playing off ball. So I don't even know what LeBron is. I don't like that type of stat. But there's a stat, I'll find it eventually. Or I'll find it off screen here. There's a stat that was brought to my attention that like showed like the best off ball offensive players, and Robert Williams is definitely one of them. My issue with the Celtics is just what kind of happened tonight, right? If they go cold from the 3-point line, how else do they score? Al Horford at this stage of his career is just not a reliable low post scorer. So if your pick and roll, your usual, shoot the threes isn't working, what option do you have to generate points? Which is, I think, why Malcolm Brogdon was such a huge thing, because Malcolm Brogdon can, actually, penetrate into the lane and collapse the defense, etc. So like he's huge, but he's also a perimeter-oriented player. How do you score inside consistently if it's not your perimeter guys? And that's where I'm like, I think the Celtics need to go out and get somebody that can be an interior scorer. I don't know who that is, but I think they need that sort of player to like be the Eastern Conference like favorites. Because right now, man, I'm picking Milwaukee if they have health on their side. Prime example how tough this year is going to be, guys. Boston looks nothing like they stuff in the second game of back-to-back. Tough season ahead, guys. Yeah. It really is a good example of how if you're playing a second game of a back-to-back and the team that is you're playing is is fresh, like, it's going to be a rough matchup. And there's no nights off in the NBA right now. Like, it is everything. Like, it is, you have to give your all to win these games. And the schedule might be against you. Like, we just saw it with the Bulls against the Cavs. Third game in 4 nights, second game of back-to-back, Cavs were rested. The Bulls got wrecked. So it's important that you take care of, like, you have to take care of the stuff on the court, but I've been consistently saying, like, the players after games, they have to be taking care of their body right from the get-go. Like, right as the game ends, take care of your body, because you have to be ready for the next game. That could be in less than 24 hours. So you don't have much time to rest. Is it just me, or has Kobe's defense looked much better this year? I totally agree with you, Adam. I think Kobe's defense has looked a lot better this year. The problem with Kobe right now, and we saw in this game, like, Javonte Green, Alex Caruso, Goran Dragic, Derrick Jones Jr., they all got the call over Kobe this game because they're better defenders. And Dragic obviously isn't a better defender, but you can see that he's really giving his effort on the defensive end, which is something I really appreciate from him. And he's really fighting on the defensive end. And the thing about Dragic is that he's willing to push the ball with pace more. And Kobe seems to want to tend to, like, kind of shoot the ball when he pushes it with pace. So that's kind of, I think, the issue right now with Kobe. But yeah, we're going to need Kobe, man. I mean, I think the biggest issue with him for now is just he's just been so inconsistent from the 3-point line that if he's not consistently hitting 3-point shots, what's he out there for? And obviously being a defender would help, but he needs to be consistently hitting 3-point shots to get quality minutes for each game. I've always said it with Kobe. One quarter he looks awful, the next quarter he looks amazing. Where's the balance, right? That there's got to be a balance there. You can't be cold one quarter and then great the next quarter. You have to be consistent. That's got to be frustrating as a player. Yeah, it definitely is, right? But if he continues to play good defense, and which he is doing, right, he's going to be a guaranteed spot in the rotation. And then if he catches fire, he'll get more minutes, right? And he's consistently inconsistent. Yeah, that's a great way to put his offense in a nutshell. Consistently inconsistent. Yeah, it's an interesting year for Kobe. Obviously, didn't agree to a contract extension. We'll see where he goes from here. But yeah, I'll be very interested in how he plays this year. He can be huge for this Bulls team. I honestly mean, he can either be huge or he could be very much a non-factor. Do you still think Derrick Jones Jr. will be traded? No, I don't think so anymore. Yeah, Adam. I know I said that earlier, but if Patrick Williams is not going to be playing like a decent role player, then Derrick Jones Jr. is not getting traded because he's all of a sudden part of the bench mob. And he might even start. I couldn't believe he wasn't getting minutes early in the year. Yeah, I think the issue with Derrick Jones Jr. was just that someone had to be sacrificed in the rotation. You brought in Goran Dragic, you brought in Andre Drummond, right? Obviously, Lonzo isn't here, but Io's starting, Caruso's on the bench again. Like, you're moving guys to the bench, so other guys get pushed back. Patrick Williams is officially back, and so Javonte goes to the bench. So it's, just kind of how it all played out, where guys that were starting are now on the bench, and he just continued to get pushed back in the rotation, which kind of sucked, but you're seeing his value right now, and I think I won't be shocked if, like, Patrick continues to start games, but only play the first 5 minutes of a half, and then it's Derrick Jones Jr. and Javonte Green to close the games. I won't be shocked at all by that. I personally would want Javonte to start or Derrick Jones Jr. to start, somebody, but I don't know. We'll see what Billy Donovan has in store for us. He might want this starting unit to get as much chemistry as possible, so that might be the reason why he's not changing the starting lineup, for now at least. One kind of checking around some other stuff here. Should we read into the no free throws for Io narrative? No. I actually saw that tweet that was like most minutes play without whatever, and Io obviously has played the most minutes without a free throw. Io, I feel like should have already had multiple free throws this season. I thought in the Wizards game, he had multiple fast break opportunities where he got hacked and nothing was called. I think one of the things about Io is that you're never going to see him complain. Like, he'll have like a grimace on his face, or like he'll make like a sour face and be like, really? But he'll never complain to the official. So that's maybe the reason why we're kind of like, does he ever get fouled? Because he won't complain. I don't think it's that much of an issue because I mean I talked about with this, like this right here, this exact play, like just because he's not getting to the free throw line doesn't mean he's not being aggressive. Like this is an aggressive take to the basket. You're going through two defenders, pick and roll. You're leading the charge in that play, and he's getting into the paint. I've said it. I would assume is a great finisher, especially as a rookie. He's not Zach LaVine in the paint, which I know Zach's missing some gimmies right now, but that's obviously just due to some timing issues. But Io's a great finisher, which is something that I think people don't actually realize that he's actually pretty good at finishing. But yeah, I wouldn't look into the free throw narrative too much. Seems a little more demonstrative this year, actually. Yeah, I would agree. Like I'm seeing a little bit more, but like I still haven't like really seen him like go up to the official and like or yell out to the official like, "Hey, where's that?" Right? And that's him just being just getting onto the defensive end and stuff like that. So yeah, I love Io, man. I really do. I think he is the point guard of the future for this team, and probably should just be the point guard for the from here on out. Honestly, with Lonzo being sidelined, but this leads me to might be my final topic for the stream here. But with Lonzo, let's say Lonzo does come back. Who do you guys think should be starting at the point guard position? I've written a little bit about this, but I want to hear you guys' thoughts on the point guard position. If and it's a big if, Lonzo comes back this season. As I pull up my article that I've written about it. So, all right. Io should keep starting until Lonzo gets his bearings back. Then they should duke it out for starter. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, Jigs. Yeah. All right. Basically, kind of same idea. So yeah. I am in agreement with that. Start the season off 2-2 against three top teams in the East. I think we're okay, guys. Lonzo's our starter, guys. He just runs the first team better. That it's a fit. Okay. Interesting perspective there by Marvin. Not saying you're wrong. I want to bring up an idea here. So if Lonzo gets back again, big if, he's in my opinion he's out till at least January. If he ever does come back early, I'd be kind of shocked if he's back by December. He works well with Caruso, so them going off the bench is good. So let me explain where I'm at right now. So I wrote this article, dysports.wordpress.com. It's my blog. I have to write it for class. But I wrote this article about Io DeSumo and the Lonzo Ball situation. This was in response to Lonzo Ball having his surgery again, or having another surgery. So I talked about, if Ball returns this season, I think that he is probably going to be going back to the starting point guard position after he gets his bearings, as you guys have been kind of talking about. But after I wrote this article, I was like, I don't know necessarily. I think right now, as things are going, I think that Io needs to actually be the starting point guard. And I'm going to get to some of the reasons why. But what I think actually should be kind of considered is playing Lonzo at like the 4, right? I think that it's something that we need to actually start thinking about is if Lonzo's actually healthy, a lineup of Io, LaVine, DeRozan, Lonzo, Vucevic. Like, we've been calling for that 3-and-D player for months now, right? And if Lonzo is actually healthy, we know he brings the 3-point shooting. Obviously, he's, I would argue, the best defender on this Bulls team right now. That's important. So Lonzo can't drive the ball for the 4, though. So here's my point about this. I think Lonzo Ball, I've gotten a lot of criticism from this. I think Lonzo Ball is more of a wing in general. Like, I know a lot of people are like, he's a phenomenal passer. He's a phenomenal, like, he's a playmaker. But I've always said, the assists are something that we need to start looking at as not the same. Lonzo in the fast break is one of the best I've ever seen in the game, easily. I think Lonzo, like, in the fast break is, like, one of the best players in transition. But when it comes to the half court, Lonzo to me is just best as a wing. And the reason why is he's a phenomenal passer. He'll find the open man immediately. Like if you're open, he's got you. But what I don't think Lonzo does is manipulate the defense to where it opens up shots for others. And that's where I'm like, I think we actually need to see Lonzo play like a wing position in a sense to see if it actually could work out. I'm not saying it's like, let's have it be permanent. I just think it's the best thing possible because we've seen Lonzo Ball, his 3-point shot, man. It's one of the best on the team, but he's also best as a catch and shoot guy and not necessarily an off the dribble guy, right? Never heard that before. That's interesting. So I've been bringing this up to some people, and they're starting to actually kind of like see it. He's too fragile. Can't play him at the 4. Also, his contract states he's the starter. He's going to start. Yeah, and in this scenario, he would still be starting, right? But obviously, he wouldn't be necessarily starting at the point guard position. But it's still like it's positionless basketball at the end of the day. I really don't think it matters too much. But let me just point out to some stats here to kind of show you where my head is of like why Lonzo is more of a sense like a wing player instead of a point guard. So look in this, for example. So Lonzo Ball last season, he took 383 field goal attempts last season. 260 of those field goal attempts were from 3-point range. Like, that's ridiculous percentage from just 3-point range, right? And I want him shooting those shots. Like, I don't want to take that away. He's shooting 67% of his shots from 3. That's amazing. And that's what we want to see because he's an over 40% 3-point shooter, right? That's one part. Now, number 2, when we look at pick and roll percentile, I'll get to some of the comments in a second here. I'm seeing what you guys are saying. When we get to the pick and roll percentile, Desuma was 74th percentile as a pick and roll ball handler, and Ball was 27th percentile. Like, it was much lower. Now, they'd be like, okay, shortened season for Lonzo. Well, Lonzo Ball in his career, the highest he's ever gotten in his percentile, I believe, is 59th. But then his second highest season, I think, is this season. It could be like maybe 29th or whatever on the Lakers or something. But his pick and roll percentile is low for a guard. Like, it's low. I know that this isn't like the best stat, but like his pick and roll percentile as a ball handler is low. And if you're going to be a point guard in today's NBA, you need to have the pick and roll in your game. He just doesn't have that. And I've consistently also said this about Lonzo. His inability to consistently make mid-range shots kind of makes it a little concerning because if he has the ball in his hands, then he needs to be able to hit it, make shots from all over the floor. Right now, I only trust him to shoot the 3-point shot, which hence 3-and-D player. So there's that. Again, I'm not taking away his defense with Lonzo. I think Lonzo's the best defender on this team in terms of perimeter and help defender. I think that's where he thrives. Now, I see some of you people are saying, well, how would he fare against some of these teams? Like, how would he fare against the Bucks? You don't think he could play the 4 because they'll dominate him? Well, let me tell you this. The Bulls played Lonzo Ball and Julius Randle last season, right? He guarded Julius Randle against the New York Knicks. He looked fine. He was put on Kevin Durant when we faced the Brooklyn Nets. He looked fine, right? He was able to guard a lot of these guys. Now, obviously, I don't think we actually got to see him play against the Milwaukee Bucks. So, yes, Giannis playing at the 4 is scary, but I think it's scary for the rest of the league too, right? I don't care who you have at the starting power forward. No matter who you have, even if it's Kawhi Leonard, Giannis is still going to be Giannis, right? It's something that I think we kind of need to get out of our head. It's like, well, we can't start Lonzo at the 4. He's too fragile. But or he's going to get wrecked. Like, he's going to get wrecked by Giannis. I'm like, no one's stopping Giannis. I don't care who it is. Whether it's Kawhi Leonard or somehow it's Matt Thomas guarding Giannis. They're not stopping Giannis. He's Giannis. So I think when it comes to just everything else in general, as in terms of fit, what we can control is the fit on this team. This Bulls team right now needs a forward that can do all the little things, shoot from three-point range, and be a great defender. What does Lonzo do? He does all the little things. He's a great three-point shooter. He's a great defender. And he's a great rebounder as well for a guy that plays the guard position. I think it's worth a shot. I honestly think it's worth trying to see if a lineup of Dosunmu, LaVine, DeRozan, Lonzo, and Vooch could work. I really think it's worth looking at. Because I think at this point, like, I know I always had some hit or miss games. I think he's going to be too good of a player to take him out of the starting lineup, even when Lonzo gets back. Because you need that consistent force of him running the offense well, but also him to actually penetrate the lane. Without, like, you can't just solely rely on LaVine and DeRozan to be your ball penetrators. Like, you have to have someone else do that, and I think that's Io in this case. You keep him in the starting lineup, he's able to attack the paint and collapse the defense. Lonzo's out there looking to spot out from three-point range. I think it's worth a shot. And again, just because that Lonzo wouldn't be playing the point guard position doesn't mean that when the Bulls get the rebound, the Bulls don't give it to him. Like, he'll get the ball in transition easily. But how many times have we seen when it's a half-court set at the end of the game that Lonzo never touches the ball, right? When the Bulls, faced the Brooklyn Nets, when they beat them in Brooklyn, and DeRozan and LaVine kind of just took over that game, you never saw Lonzo initiate the offense. He wasn't the one bringing the ball up the court. It was DeRozan and LaVine taking the ball up and basically just doing everything. And Lonzo hit the dagger three-point shot off a catch-and-shoot opportunity from DeMar DeRozan. So it's those types of things that I'm just like, I think Lonzo is more of a wing. That doesn't take away his passing ability. It doesn't. It's something that I think we should kind of look at. Am I living under a rock, or is no one else talking about Lonzo as a wing? There are other people. There are other people that talk about Lonzo as a wing, and they get a lot of crap. Like, one of my worst videos on this channel, but it got a decent amount of views, was saying that, like, someone criticized the Bulls for saying that they're giving Lonzo Ball too many possessions that he initiates on offense. But I was like, no, I think that they're giving him just enough. Like, it's not too many, it's not too little. But then people in that same video were like, how dare you criticize Ball and say he's not a point guard? How dare you say such a thing? And I'm like, this whole video was literally a video about a tweet that was criticizing for putting the ball in Lonzo's hands too much. And I disagree with that tweet, and you're coming after me. So I've been kind of like the Lonzo Ball hater since Ball's been on the team. But I'm like, I just think I'm just evaluating him to his strengths and trying to put him in the best position to succeed. Good point. Would love to see it, but I don't think Billy is going to do it. Game situations maybe, but never a constant. So, Marvin, let me ask you this. Do you remember the Bulls' closing lineup last year when everyone was healthy, right? It was Lonzo, Caruso, LaVine, DeRozan, Vooch, right? So, what's the difference if I'm just swapping out Io for Caruso? I don't see much of a difference. It's the same lineup, basically. But it said it's Io. It's the same lineup. That was the best lineup for the Chicago Bulls last season. Is Lonzo's passing elite in the half court as well? Yeah. I think his passing, his vision is top tier. But I always use this example when it comes to assists. Draymond Green, for example, right? Draymond Green does not do anything in terms of manipulating the defense and forcing rotations and drawing multiple defenders, right? The Warriors, they give Draymond Green the basketball at the high post. He'll post up, and everyone on the Warriors team just kind of runs around him, and he'll find the open man, right? That's assists. That's great passing vision, but he doesn't manipulate the defense. It's the other it's his teammates that are manipulating the defense. I look at that the same way as with Lonzo. I think Lonzo's very similar. I remember a Thinking Basketball video where he talked about the concept of not all assists / turnovers are equal. Yeah, I totally agree. I think all assists are not the same. Like, if I told you, look at Chris Paul's assists versus Lonzo Ball's assists, they're completely different assists, right? One is a mastermind in the half court that can manipulate the defense, run the pick and roll, draw multiple defenders, force rotations, and is opening shots up for his teammates. The other is has phenomenal passing vision, gets a lot of his assists in the open court, but in the half court, he relies on his teammates to get open, and he'll find the open man. It's just, there's just a difference in how you look at the assist and how was the assist made. So I just think it's something that the Bulls could look into. Again, I'm not saying it has to be the solution or permanent solution, but I think it's worth a shot trying the Alonzo, LaVine, DeRozan, Vooch lineup. I think it's really worth it. But other thing I will say with Lonzo, man, I'm concerned about him. Like, I've been saying it consistently with I remember that lineup, but late in the season. That's the key. The Bulls are afraid to try it early, thinking maybe he'll get hurt. No, I think you got it backwards, Marvin. I think it's the Bulls ran that lineup of Caruso, Lonzo, LaVine, DeRozan, Vucevic early in the season when everyone was healthy. They could not run that lineup at all once Lonzo got injured. Lonzo played the first 35 games, but never played again. Like, go back and watch the Pistons game. Like, I'll even pull it up. Pistons game, the first game of the season, right? It was that lineup that closed the game. No, that's not it. Where is? Let's do upload date. And why can't YouTube work with me for once? Come on. No, that's not it. I just watched this video the other day too. Like, I legit just watched Zach LaVine highlights last season, and I'm like hoping they can get back to form. I'm honestly also interested the duo of Dragic and Lonzo. Dragic times Luka was so good in Eurobasket. I think Lonzo could play similar roles to Luka's role to Luka's role in Eurobasket. What do you mean by Luka's role in Eurobasket? Because again, with Luka, what Luka does is Luka manipulates the defense. Like, I'm talking like straight up manipulates the defense. That he is drawing multiple defenders, he's forcing rotations, etc. Lonzo's high IQ. Okay, I understand. Okay, gotcha, Noel. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested to try that combination too. I'm honestly open for anything. But then even in that combination, I think Dragic is the one that is, has the ball that is setting up the half court and is looking to run the pick and roll, and Lonzo's the one that's playing the wing. Like, even in that sort of, guard combo. Like, it's just, that's just kind of how I look at it, right? Because I think Dragic is better at penetrating into the lane and drawing multiple defenders and making their defense rotate. See, Marvin, I see that your message got retracted, so I couldn't read what exactly it said. Yeah, so this game right here. Alright, let's move here. Nope, this is that's I don't know why I thought that was the right one. That's not the right one. Let's see. 24 points. Bro, come on. Okay, here we go. This is it. I guess maybe people will close this one. No, I mean, this is the lineup, right? It's, you got Vooch, you got Caruso, you got DeRozan, and Lonzo's over there. I mean, this was the lineup to close the game. People just checked in at like the last couple of minutes mark. Like this was the lineup to close the game. For this Bulls team, like, and this was in their limited minutes. Like this was their best lineup. Like no questions asked. Like this was a great lineup. It just obviously Lonzo getting hurt didn't help, right? So yeah, just something to kind of think about. Honestly, I honestly think it's just something to look at. And look, just because someone's not the point guard doesn't mean that they're less valuable. I know like today's game is like all about, perimeter oriented players, who's the point guard. I mean, it's a very point guard driven game right now, but you can be a wing player and be very effective. I mean, look at Mikal Bridges, right? Very effective 3-and-D player. And I think Lonzo can be a better 3-and-D player than Mikal Bridges can. Like, I honestly think that. I apologize if I look very sweaty. Again, it is 76 degrees in my apartment right now. Chicago, city is always, hey, the heat has to be turned on on this date, and it never turns off until June 1st. And it is 75 degrees outside, and I'm on a top floor, and it hurts right now I'm like suffocating in here. But not many other teams in the NBA. So, Marvin, I understand your point. I think just my point that I'm trying to make is that was the closing lineup. Like you look at the other games, like that was the closing lineup for this Bulls team. We never got to see it. Like I understand, like you're saying, like, well, we can't use that against the Bucks. I don't know if we can't or can't, right? Or can or can't. I would kind of agree with you that we probably couldn't. But I'd also want to see it first. I don't want to just be like, hey, we can't all of a sudden. I think that's just kind of not smart to all of a sudden kind of do. Adam, yeah. You're lucky, man, that you have air. I don't have air right now. My heater is off, and it's just so hot. Hotter rises. Windows are open. I have a window right here, but I don't open it obviously for the stream. It'd be too loud. Any thought about Caruso to start the season? This was easily his best game. This is easily Caruso's best game to start the year. He definitely did not look good the first 3 games. You have to think about what it takes away from the bench, playing them both at the same time. Sure, but we have more bench options this year. Like we have Dragic off the bench, right? We have Caruso off the bench. Like it's not. I think I understand. Like if this was last year where we just didn't have much guard depth off the bench, I can definitely see your point. But I think that this bench is definitely a little bit more deeper that we can afford to at least try it, see how it works out. Again, though, we may never ever be able to try this because Lonzo's injury is just so severe, and I hope his rehab goes well. But we've seen his rehab not do well before. Do you think we'll keep Kobe by the trade deadline? Probably. And this could change on a week by week basis, Noel. So I don't. It's kind of hard to say. My guess is that this Kobe situation is going to turn into the Larry Markkinen situation when Larry hit restricted free agency. I don't think we're going to trade Kobe. I think we're going to keep him. He's going to hit restricted free agency, and then the Bulls are going to play hardball where they're like, hey, go out, get a contract. We'll see if we want to match it or not. Let the market gauge his value, and then they'll decide to match it or not. Most likely, I think the end result is that Kobe is signed and traded to a team. This team is better suited for it? Yeah, I think so. And again, it doesn't have to be permanent. I just think it's just something worth testing. And if it doesn't work, I'm totally fine having Io go back to the bench and have Lonzo go back to the starting lineup, if that's what's necessary. Or if it's the opposite, where it's like Lonzo needs to go to the bench and Io needs to start. Like whatever is necessary for this team to win, do it. I really don't care who's coming off the bench, who's starting, honestly. But yeah, if you want to read more about my thoughts on this whole, Lonzo injury and where this kind of puts Ayo Dosunmu for this Bulls team in the future, yeah, check out my blog, dwitesports.wordpress.com. If you need to get to specific article from the homepage, because it only shows so many articles, so hit the next page button here to see all my other articles that I've written about. You want to see me and my previous sports career as me as a young person. Here's that picture. So check this out. This blog, I'm not consistently updating it. It's for school, definitely. But if you want to check out some of my writing, this is it. I've also started a Substack for writing as well for school. So I'll be doing that. We'll see how far that goes. I don't expect that to go very far, unfortunately. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for me. I need to go clean myself up from the heat. It is hot in here, and I'm not very happy about it. All right, Bulls win. Very good win against the Boston Celtics. I'm very happy about this win. I don't know if I could have mentally took it if the Bulls started 1-3 this year. They had a good chance of starting 1-3. I'll at least say that. But the way that we lost that Cavs game, man, that was rough. So great bounce back win. Bulls are playing the Indiana Pacers next, and this should 100% be a win. I think it's important to get this game because then you have to face San Antonio, and then face Philly, which we have not beaten since the Embiid era. So it's important for the Bulls to get these next two games to make sure that they start getting wins. I don't know if you guys have been kind of keeping track of the Eastern Conference, but it's kind of interesting to kind of look at things right now. Like, the East is just so weird. Like, we obviously have Philly to start out horribly, right? But then, Hornets are 2-1, Knicks are 2-1, right? So you want to, get a lead early and not be playing from behind to start the year, because this could be a rough year, man. It's gonna be a rough year if we start on the lower side of the standings than being up at the top, or bottom part of the standings. So, yep, starting 1-3 after this Sox season would have been brutal. Yeah, if you're a Sox fan, which I think you are, yeah. As a Sox fan myself, I'm not happy with the Sox organization right now. Sox season was so bad. The White Sox are 95-95 in their last 190 games. So you want the definition of being mediocre? Yeah, that's awful. Bulls will win their next 3 games. I hope, man. I do think that this 76ers team is kind of vulnerable right now. So it would be awesome to win against Indiana, win against San Antonio, and then carry the momentum into Philly. I think that's a good idea. I'm guessing Zach doesn't play this game because first game of back-to-back, but he'll be playing the Philadelphia game. So yeah, I think that'd be awesome. I think that'd be an awesome thing. So yeah, look forward to that. I should be doing a post-game reaction or live stream after the Indiana game. After the San Antonio game, I can't guarantee that, but check for after the Indiana game on Wednesday. I should be having another live stream after that. Need that early season win versus Philly. Yeah, hey man, we got 2 wins over teams we never won against last season so far. Let's make it 3 to start it off the season right. That'd be awesome. I think that'd be a great confidence booster for this team if they did that. So, yeah, I think look forward to that. Look forward to my stream on Wednesday. I should be doing a post game stream with that. Probably no video tomorrow. I have some work to catch up on, but potentially video on Thursday. But post game, Bulls versus Indiana on Wednesday. Just to wrap things up here, if you want to give my Twitter a follow, I really appreciate this. I have been reaching out to some people. I plan on doing a mailbag video soon here. So go ahead and you can just go ahead and DM me right now if you want to be part of the mailbag. I'll put you in the video, your question in the video and everything. Kind of just answer some of your questions just to get some more community engagement. I think that'd be awesome. If you have not, I really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am really doing my best to get more people to subscribe here. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. I gained a lot of subscribers in the past month or so, so I'm very, very happy to see that. But I want to get to that 1,000 mark, so I'd really appreciate it. Also, if you have not liked the stream, please hit that like button. I really appreciate if you hit the like button as well. Helps more people see the stream, gets more engagement, etc. And please, 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 I can't stress this enough. If you want to leave any comments on my videos, whether it's positive, negative, whatever, I appreciate it all. I really do. Any sort of engagement is something that I really do appreciate, and hopefully my community continues to grow and we continue to grow. And hope you guys enjoy the content as well. So yeah, that's gonna do it for me though. Great Bulls win. Jig, see you next stream. I'll see you next time. Having going 3-2 out of the first 5. If we beat Indiana, go 3-2, not a bad start. Playing three top East teams in the first 5. Yeah, I agree, Marvin. Yeah, I think it's a good start because I think after this rough stretch where we're playing 4 games in 6 nights, you know, like once we get through this rough stretch, I think we're gonna see this Bulls team kind of like take off a little bit after this rough stretch of a lot of games jam packed together, and that'll be good to see. Hopefully, more people are healthy by then. Specifically, talk about Lonzo. Yeah, that's gonna do it again for this stream. I'll see you guys in the post game reaction to Bulls versus Pacers. Hopefully, it's a win. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I enjoyed this a lot. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Down and run right through me. I keep settling for so much less. Don't take what's given, just demand what's next. So we didn't see before. So we get out of here. Plot twist that we didn't see coming. We're looking for an open door. So we didn't see before. How will we get out of here? Well, no, we'll never stop running. It's something like a shadow in the valley, colossal. Open up your eyes, young one, and be watchful. Behind closed doors, trying to write a new gospel. They are not God, they're not even apostles. I come with the gum drum banging you breathless. Enemies freeze, left bent and defenseless. Straight for the chest of anybody against us. The more they resist it, the more that they tempt us. I keep settling for so much less. Don't take what's given, just demand what's next. We're looking for an open door, so we didn't see before. So we get out of here. Plot twist that we didn't see coming. We're looking for an open door, so we didn't see before. And when we get out of here, we'll take off and never stop running. So I keep settling for so much less. Don't take what's given, just demand what's next. We're looking for an open door, something we didn't see before. So we get out of here. Plot twist that we didn't see coming. We're looking for an open door, something we didn't see before. And when we get out of here, we'll take off and never stop running. No, no, we'll never stop running. No, no, we'll never stop running. When we get that open door, no, no, we'll never stop running. No, no, we'll never stop running. No, no, we'll never stop running. When we get that open door, no, no, we'll never stop running.